Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hard Count Football Podcast Live. My name is Jacob Charnow, leading the next generation of football fans live on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel and right here on Bucks Report. We have our Super Bowl champions, and we are certainly going to talk a lot about this game in just a few moments. After I get through my opening, we are going to be joined with Rick Hughes of Live from the Cheap Seats and What's Cooking in the South. I am very excited to talk to him about this game. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. First, I'm going to give my thought. Actually, no. Let's get Rick in here right away because I'm very excited to talk to him because I want to get his thoughts. We're going to have a conversation about this game. Let's bring him in. Rick Hughes, everybody. Rick,
what?
Man, how
There's
are
something
you?
to talk about? We got a little something to talk about, do we?
Maybe. What's going on here? What happened in the last couple days, Rick? Why don't you go full screen and tell us what happened on Sunday?
Okay, so what happened was a complete surprise to me. I'm going to be honest. I did not see it coming. I saw the win. I'm okay with the win. That didn't shock me. I thought it would be a good close game, probably come down to a last-second field goal. I did say if one team is going to blow out the other team, it will be the Bucks blowing out Kansas City. But I very clearly said, yeah, that ain't happening. Right. And holy crap. I mean, it wasn't close. The fact that Kansas City fans are whining about the referees is hilarious when they couldn't score. You know, all the calls that are questionable, that they are questioning are like pass interference calls or things like that. Look, they didn't score a touchdown, and this has nothing to do with referees. There's no questionable calls. There's nothing about that's in the gray area. Nobody's saying there were any calls on that side of the ball that are questionable. The Bucks just beat the living daylights. This defense, Shaq Barrett, I mean, I guarantee you Mahomes is having nightmares, man. I mean, he was hilarious running around. And to Patrick Mahomes' credit, I don't know how he threw some of the balls that he threw that could have been caught.
The one where the first one where he just kind of spun around and launched it, and it was like this close from being caught by Byron Pringle in the end zone. I thought he caught it, but after replay, it was very clear he did not. And then the one where he was getting hit, I think it was by JPP maybe, and he was getting dragged down, and it was just like he was horizontal and throwing the ball. That was a ridiculous play, and I don't want to discredit, like you said, I don't want to discredit Patrick Mahomes for the talent that he has,
he showed up. He showed up to play football.
And we're going to hear all offseason, oh, well, Mahomes, well, look what happens when Mahomes doesn't, hey, blah, 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 blah. A lot of talking heads doing what they do. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes was missing both his Pro Bowl level offensive tackles. And for some reason, his receivers just forgot how to catch the ball. And here was something that I noticed that was very interesting. Andy Reid did not adjust at all during this game.
Well, I want to say something about that because I don't think they forgot to catch the ball. I think that's what happens when they faced that different defense. It's the same thing. Look, I had a friend say the Buccaneers gave the roadmap on how to beat the Chiefs, and I don't believe that's true.
No.
I believe that the Raiders gave the roadmap on how to beat the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers followed the roadmap.
Yes.
And I think that the Chiefs are going to have to do some different things. I think the mobility of Patrick Mahomes, I think you saw just what an amazing player he is. But listen, those receivers were hit, harassed, covered, blanketed, hands in their faces. I mean, there were things, you know, like when you saw, I don't remember who it was, got hit in the face mask with a ball. What you're not realizing is right in front of his face.
Was it?
It was a hand.
It wasn't. Right. It was. Was that?
It was Devin White, I think.
Was that? I'm trying to remember who the receiver was.
Yeah, I don't remember. But
I just it was a running back. I'm pretty sure it was a running back.
But he got hit in the face mask with the ball, but it was because he couldn't see. All of a sudden, the ball was there, but there was a hand in his face reaching up for the ball. And they had no space. They were just completely harassed all game long because they had 7 people almost every play, sometimes 6, that were back there covering, and there wasn't the normal space that everybody had. The Bucks rushed 4, sometimes 5, but the way I heard it put was that while they rushed 4, it was never the same 4, like 2 plays in a row. It was different. It was a different 4 that were coming at you, and they had no idea what was happening.
And Todd Bowles and Todd Bowles, man, what a great defense. And this was something I was harping on literally the entire season. I was saying, Todd Bowles, man, he is a great defensive coordinator, one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game. And his whole game plan coming into this was, listen, he was looking at Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and saying, listen, you guys are missing your 2 offensive tackles. I'll take my 4 and put them up against your 5, and so we can cover the pass, and we'll see what happens. And let
me ask you something interesting. Okay, let me point out 2 things. Every score on for the Buccaneers offense: Brady's 2 touchdowns to Gronk, Leonard Fournette running for the touchdown, and who caught the other touchdown? Shoot, I don't remember who caught the other touchdown.
I think AB.
None of them were on the team last year.
That's I think that was the funniest thing about this. That was the best thing.
Right. So, but I want to point out something on defense, and the defense really was the star of the game.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt you hold them to 9 points. None of those guys were new this year. Okay, the entire team was back from last year.
I guess Winfield, but that's that.
Okay, yes.
You can't draft, sure.
Correct. But I'm saying there were no free agents, I guess.
Yeah.
And my point, and Winfield, that's a big ad, but that was really the only ad. And
it's
right. So what I want to say, I guess, more than anything is for everybody who says, "Oh, it was all these free agents who came in." No. And I'm going to speak sacrilege because you know how I feel about this sort of talk. But I'm going to go there. I'm going to say they would have won. I'm going to say they would have won no matter who was quarterback.
There we go. You can't say the J word. I'm not letting you say the J word on my show, at least.
Don't worry. It won't happen. I'm not a fan. But they would have won no matter who was quarterback because Kansas City couldn't score. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, listen, with the running game doing what it was doing, everything was clicking on all cylinders. What everybody saw when these players started to sign and you started going, holy crap, this is just a star-studded, packed roster, but they never came together until postseason.
I mean, it was essentially an all-star team. You're looking at it like these are guys. Look, if I were to tell you 3 years ago, before Gronk retired, because he came back, from what we saw in the Super Bowl, he was the same Gronk, right? Yeah. But if I were to tell you, hey, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, and Gronk would all be on offense with each other, you'd be like, that team's going to win a Super Bowl. That team would win a Super Bowl right now. And they did. That's what happened. And I'll give them this on defensively, especially Devin White. And I said it on your show, Rick. and people, I've heard a lot of pushback on this. People are gonna be like, well, this guy. Devin White is the best linebacker in the NFL, right?
I think he is. I think he is
the most.
You're right.
He does it all.
Yeah.
Right. Because there are guys. There are linebackers who are good at stopping the run. Linebackers who are good in coverage. Not a lot of them can do both and be as athletic as Devin White is.
Well, Devin White is everywhere. I mean, he's dropping the running backs on a screenplay. He's dropping them for a loss, and then the next play, he's 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, breaking up a pass. The next play, he's pressuring the quarterback. The next play, he's scooping up a fumble. And I'm not just talking Super Bowl. He didn't get a fumble in the Super Bowl, but my point being, every play, it doesn't matter where it is, that guy's there. And he's a part of it, and he's an impact player. So, I mean, let's make it. Listen, this Bucks defense. Look, I love the offense. I love Tom Brady. I think what Tom Brady has done for this organization is massive. And what was the difference in the defense this year? I want everybody to follow this. What is the real difference between the defense last year and the defense this year? And I'm going to say it, Tom Brady. Nobody wants to disappoint the GOAT and his demands for excellence. Everybody felt like when this guy came in and demanded excellence, that they had to do it. They had to be excellent.
And another huge, yes, absolutely. You don't want to disappoint the GOAT, but also the defense was on the field a lot less than they were last year, right? Because you didn't have some other quarterback throwing 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions in a game.
Well, but Bucks Time 12 put up a comment there in the section at the very bottom. It says our offense could have scored 2 or 3 more TDs if it was needed, and that's accurate.
Oh,
I mean, they just sat back there, and I mean, they did not. This was not the best game offensively, only because it didn't have to be. I mean, it really didn't have to be. You had the ability to kind of put it on cruise control pretty freaking early.
And if Rick, you were to come on my show Sunday morning, and I were to say to you that the most crucial point to this game, it wasn't going to need to be, the offense wasn't going to need to score that many points, you would have told me I was crazy, right? Because there was everyone.
But let me say this: I'm one of the only people. I said a lot of stupid things. Okay, I thought the game was going to be close. I thought it was going to come down to a last-second field goal. I said a lot of things that were dead wrong, but I also said take the under. I said this is not going to be as high scoring as everybody thinks it is, and to me, it was because both teams were going to want to keep the other quarterback off the field.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's what made a big difference. Now, before the season started, I said multiple times on Bucks Report shows that a massive thing that's going to happen with the Buccaneers this year is that teams are going to try to run the ball on them because they'd want to keep Brady off the field. And as they keep trying to run the ball, and the Buccaneers' strength is run defense, and you keep trying to run the ball because you want to keep Brady off the field, you're running right into the Buccaneers' strength. You're basically, their offense was going to, come hell or high water, was going to try to do what you can't do against this team. How many times did we see players like screens or not even just screens? You saw like sweeps. You saw things like that where the running back is trying to bounce outside, getting tackled for a loss. They kept trying to go outside because you weren't going to get through Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, JPP. You're not going to get through that. Yeah. So they would try to bounce outside. And then what do you have? You got Devin White, who looks like he's shot out of a cannon, who would come just flying in there. It's my favorite thing that I see him do. I mean, he does so many great things, but I love when a guy's running wide, swinging wide behind the line of scrimmage, and it looks like there's open space. You can just smile because you know what's about to happen. There's just going to be this streak of pewter red or white flying in. All you're going to see is this blur of a streak. You just fly in and take him out. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, and you touched on the defense doesn't want to disappoint Tom Brady, and this is right. This is something huge that I've been saying, and Rick, I've talked to you a lot about the Brady effect.
Yeah,
and the Brady effect was not only in full effect during the season, not only in full effect during the Super Bowl, but it's going to be in effect for the offseason and into next year.
Yeah,
and here's just a few examples. We've already heard that Mike Evans is willing to take Mike Evans is probably a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I would say he's definitely a top 10 receiver right now in the NFL. He's willing to take a pay cut.
You heard about Brady today, right?
What?
Did you hear about Brady today?
What about it?
They're renegotiating and extending his contract. Really? They're working on that, and he's going to take less money so that.
This is crazy because
they want everybody back.
He did it in New England, and they didn't do Tom Brady justice in New England with what he was doing for them.
Right.
Brady could have demanded all the money in the world from New England, and he didn't. So they could go ahead and get these guys.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why. It's irrelevant. If he makes $25 million or $10 million, it's irrelevant.
His wife is more.
They are worth as a couple. They are worth $883 million according to Forbes today. I looked this up.
That is,
$883 million.
that is
Whether you
insane.
make 10 million or 15 million,
It's nothing.
okay. So you're just your legend is gonna grow. You're gonna make more in endorsement deals and things like that. I mean, if you just yeah, go ahead and I'll take 5 million less. Let's bring back Chris Godwin. I'll take another, Gronk says I'll give up 5 million. Let's bring back, Levante David, because Mike Evans is also pitching in and this guy's pitching in and people are willing to come in for less. Listen, there's going to be a line at the door of people trying to get in. So while we are worried about who are the Buccaneers going to lose, understand there will be a line outside the door at the Bucs facility of people knocking on the door saying, "Let me in."
Yeah, so, and I think you're exactly right. Players are going to want to return. Players are going to want to come in because players want to be. I've said it, I think, every single week.
Yeah.
Players want to be surrounded by greatness. People want to be surrounded by greatness in everything you do in life. You want to be surrounded by someone who could teach you something.
Yeah, it's excellence. It's all about excellence. And I mean, I'm sorry, but Brady farts excellence. I mean, there's no other way around that. It's crazy how that goes down. The way that he like I said, I wrote an article about Brady's impact on the defense before the year started. I wrote an article about this, and I'll bet like Joshua Cole Allen is in the lobby. I know he's going to be coming on here shortly.
He'll definitely will bring him in.
Yeah, because he's from Boston, and he's followed this Brady thing, for years and years. And I mean, I know Joshua knows far better than I do that what Brady does, it's obviously an infection. And I don't know how else to word that, because I've said this I don't know how many times. When you look at this organization from top to bottom, the way everything is done, the way everything is run for this organization, everything about this organization is different this year. The way that they handle everything from press conferences, Joshua can tell you about that, but the way they do everything from press conferences to how they play on the field, the uniforms they wear, the everybody on the team, the water boy doesn't want to screw up. Everybody wants to be excellent because, oh crap, everybody else is being excellent. I have to be excellent. Now I've worked in jobs, I've worked on sets as a photographer, spent 30 years as a photographer shooting for different magazines. And I've worked for magazines and for companies, maybe, for instance, let's say I'm shooting a catalog, and you see some companies, I can go in there and know it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how much I want to do well. They're half-heartedly putting out the effort. The company is bringing in the models are the makeup artists, the scenery, the set, the whatever that we're doing, the location. But then there are other times when I worked for companies. I'll give you an example. There's a prom dress company called Riva Designs. They said, we want to do a catalog. They said, Rick, where do you want to shoot it? And I said, well, you like anywhere? Where would I like to shoot it? I would like to shoot it in sand dunes in the middle of the desert. And I said, I think that would be awesome to go to shoot in a desert. Everybody goes the opposite direction. I think it'd be a cool idea, like sunset shots and things like that. And I want the sun in the picture, in every picture. And they were like, okay, let's do it. They booked flights, they booked rooms, they booked, all the mobile homes to bring out to the sets in the desert. And then the makeup artists, they had incredible models. They did all of this, and the catalog looks amazing. And then you go to somebody else and says, well, let's just shoot it in a studio. Okay.
That's boring.
The difference that I'm going somewhere with all of this. Yes. Okay. Tom Brady could have come into Tampa and said, all right, I want to be excellent. I demand excellence. And everybody could have just kind of said, shut up, Tom. But they didn't. Everybody else, in the organization itself, the Glazers, the organization up top said, heck yes, excellence. We're on board. And everybody pushed. Everybody changed. And it's Tom Brady but it's Tom Brady in conjunction with others around him. Now, the thing is this: last year, nobody was calling for excellence. Nobody was demanding. They may have called for. You can request excellence. Brady didn't come in and request excellence. He effing demanded it.
Yeah.
And that's why Tampa won the Super Bowl.
What I just heard was that Rick compared himself to Tom Brady, the GOAT.
No, what?
No.
Then that came out wrong.
No, I got it. No, you're definitely right. I 100% agree with you. But yes, Tom Brady, everywhere he goes, excellence follows.
Yeah.
Look at his commercials. They're like every single part of his life, he demands excellence in.
Yeah.
And people listen because he's Tom freaking Brady.
His wife, what he looks like, his freaking children are like practically the perfect looking, perfect acting children from everything we've seen. Everything around the guy, he's like, I mean, it's not. It's one of those things that's like, wow, man, it's a genetic bolt of lightning. That like if there was a movie years ago called Twins, and it had Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger were paired together, and what had happened is genetically they took all of the DNA and split it into all the good DNA and all the bad DNA, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was made from the good DNA and Danny DeVito was made from the bad DNA. Well, Tom Brady is obviously, they took all of the bad DNA out, all of the negative traits, all of the bad traits, all of that, and you're left with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy, and I say that, but it's not just DNA, because he looked like he had a dad bod in when he was in the draft. This was not just DNA, unless you're talking about whatever it is up here that makes him so different. And because this guy is different here more than he's different here. It's not his arm strength. He's got a great arm, but he's not his arm strength and his accuracy and all of these things are not that much better than everybody else. It's not like, he's not going to do some of the Patrick Mahomes things, but there's something else about him that just infects everybody around him. Notice the Buccaneers getting no penalties in the second half of the year. They actually went one game with 0 penalties. All right. Now, they became a disciplined team. Why? You want to jump off sides and disappoint Tom?
Go right ahead, honestly.
Right. So that's what is so different about this cat. He's a freak of nature when it comes to his I'll go through a brick wall to impress the guy. I'll never be able to do it. I'll never impress the guy, because the moment I go through a brick wall, he's going to be like, just one? There's nothing I can do.
Right.
Because, this guy he's set standards that are unattainable. And everybody who thinks Patrick Mahomes is the next GOAT or is going to beat Tom Brady when it comes to number of Super Bowls and things like that, simmer down, Sparky. You have no idea what's coming. The guy's been hurt 2 out of the 3 years that he's been there. He did win once, but he's been hurt twice. That impacted him. And yes, his injury impacted him in this Super Bowl. And listen, man, you're a mobile quarterback. You're going to get hit. You're gonna twist and turn and do things to your body, trying to get away and doing some of the stuff he does. And that's going to take a toll. He's not going to have the longevity that Brady has had.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in the man, the media man himself, the man who Brady follows all over the place, Joshua Cole Allen. Josh, what is up, man? How are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing well. Wow, I'm still on cloud 9. I can believe it because I had them winning, but it's still surreal like that. They actually went out there and they did it the way they did, holding Mahomes to only 9 points. As Rick alluded earlier, he's never lost a game by more than possession, more than 8 points.
Yeah.
And to have him not even score a touchdown, it's just an incredible job by Todd Bowles and especially the players and their execution.
Yeah.
And Rick brought up a great point. Tom Brady made this defense better, but not only by holding them accountable, but by going against him in practice every single day, starting in training camp and while they were, practicing during the season, being able to go against him and having somebody that good to practice against. You've heard it from the guys in New England, how they say Tom Brady, makes you that much better. And not only that, I had Keon Crossan on my show earlier in the year. He was a cornerback for the Patriots, and he said his rookie year, Tom Brady approached him as a seventh-round draft pick rookie and said, "Hey, what are you seeing when you're watching the tape? What are you seeing when I'm out there? How can I improve?" He goes up to and we've heard that, how approachable he is from everybody in the organization and how he approaches everybody in the organization to try to continue to still get better. Keon told the story of how they're in a meeting and Tom's got his notebooks, and you heard Bruce Arians allude to his notebooks several times this week in Media Week, and how he's in there taking notes like he's a rookie still, like he's like a freshman in college trying to get an A, still taking notes, detailed notes in the meetings. The guys, he as Rick said, demands greatness, and he demands it from everybody else. And if you can't do that, then you should probably be on another team. And that, to me, is a big reason why he left New England, is that the guys that they were putting around him weren't as serious about it as he was. And
I just think it was no more fun there. I think it just wasn't having fun. I think it got to a point where he was like, I want to be excellent. I want to prove myself. I still want all that excellence, but man, you don't have to be miserable while you do it.
Nobody wants to be in New England. And this is something I said when Brady came to Tampa. I was worried because, I think you guys will agree that, Tampa before kind of felt like a loose, like, just like, I don't know. It felt like a very free place to be, right? And
right.
Brady comes here and it immediately becomes, it feels like they button up a little bit, but still it looks like they're having fun while still being great.
Yep. I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's Bill, the GM, drove Brady, the quarterback, away. I think Bill's lack of innovativeness and lack of wanting to spend and wanting to go make the moves to get the players to put around him. And he saw that, and he saw their cap space, and he saw that he'd have to take another massive pay cut and move money around and push money around. And he said, you know what? I'm just going to go somewhere else. I'm going to see if I can do this on a different team. I'm going to see if I can do this in a different location. And that was a major.
Joshua, let me ask you something, though, Joshua. The only reason I say I'm not sure that's entirely the whole picture is simply because Gronk came back to play with him.
That's different, though.
Well, is it? Because they're really kind of they kind of have the same mentality. I mean, they work well together because, and I just think it was one of those things. It was like, I think Tom basically said to Gronk, "Hey, let's do it again, but this time let's enjoy it."
Well, here's the funny thing with Gronk. Here's the funny thing with Gronk is that Gronk, this is a story I think he told on some Fox show, where right before he retired, he actually got traded to the Lions, and he was like, "I'm done," and just retired. He's like, "I can't get traded if I'm retired," and then that was it for him. And then now he comes back.
It was a season prior. They had a deal. He was going to trade him because Matt Patricia was a coach. They were exploring a trade to the Lions, and he said, "If you're going to trade me to the Lions, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to retire. I'm not going to play for the Lions." He's been very adamant that he wants to play with nobody but Tom Brady, and he wasn't going back to New England because he was burnt out. Was Tom maybe burnt out of that lifestyle too? Yes, but I don't think he hated it, and he was like, I think it was more that he wanted to go to a different location to see if he could do it, to get make history, get some of these things off as a system quarterback and this and that, and see if he could do it with another franchise. And I
think what's really interesting is
he did.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is now what you're seeing, especially in these last few weeks and last few months, is people looking at this Tom Brady situation and these top quarterbacks and being like, guys, looking at their organization and being like, guys, look at what Tom Brady's working with. Why are we not trying to help me out as much? Look at guys like Aaron Rodgers and now Russell Wilson. Who's saying, hey, we're trying to win a Super Bowl here. You're seeing what it takes to win a Super Bowl in the NFC now. Make that happen for me, or I'm going to go somewhere else.
But let me point out something. Let me point out the difference is this is not just something the Bucs made happen. Okay, the Bucs didn't just say, "All right, everybody come in here cheap." All right, this is because Brady came, everybody else wanted in. And that's what I think is different in Seattle. Yeah, there may be one or two people who are saying, I'm willing to go play with, it doesn't matter what other quarterback. It doesn't even matter if we're talking Russell Wilson. It doesn't matter if you're talking anybody. Yeah, I'm willing to go play with Aaron Rodgers. That'd be great. But it's not, oh man, I'll take a pay cut to go play with Russell Wilson.
It's funny because I was having this conversation with Jeff Darlington of ESPN earlier today. And
listen to you.
Pretty much brought up.
Listen to you. Well, I was talking to Jeff Darlington of ESPN.
But no, we're pretty much having the same conversation about how Tom Brady kind of he brought his guys in. Gronk, he called up Gronk and said, "Come out of retirement and come play."
Yep.
Over a few phone calls. Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson wanted Antonio Brown. Aaron Rodgers has been lobbying for weapons, and it was brought up about why don't these quarterbacks get the kind of personnel control. Not that I think Tom Brady had a personnel control. I think he just recommended the idea, and they looked into it and saw that it could have been a fit. And with Gronk, the cost of a draft pick and the cap space that they had, and then with Antonio Brown, the cost of his contract and the fit, and they with the banged up wide receivers, and they said, you know what, Tom, we'll listen to you. But that's a big thing around the league, and you're seeing Russ complain about it. Russ started with his offensive coordinator that got let go, that he didn't think he should have got let go, and he wanted some more input in that. Aaron Rodgers was very vocal about them not adding any wide receiver talent after the draft and adding a quarterback. You're talking about not all guys can do it, but Rodgers, and Russell Wilson, if anyone after Brady's going to be able to have the say, hey, let's bring some guys in, you think it would be those guys. And that's a point of contentment. And you're seeing that with some of these quarterbacks, that some of these teams are not doing everything they can to put talent around them.
I just don't see these guys saying, I don't see Fournette saying, I'm going to go play cheap for Seattle. I don't see AB saying, yeah, sure, I'll play cheap with Seattle as long as I can live with Russell Wilson. I don't see people saying, yeah, man, I'm in, just, and I'll do it cheap. Let me cut my pay to play with Russell Wilson. Yeah, I don't see that.
A huge part of that's because, they would be playing Seattle or Green Bay. Like those are not great places to live.
But I think you might see that this season after the Super Bowl when Allen Robinson went on and said, no hat, I want a ring. So you're seeing that, if these kind of not following the lead of the NBA, but you're going to start seeing, I think, some of these guys take less money, especially if they've already had big contracts in the past, go to teams where they're leaving money on the table to try to get that ring. And I think you'll see that. And you brought up a great point, Rick. I think you're going to see another wave of guys after they sign some people come in here and want to play for cheap to get a ring and kind of ring chase.
Is it possible that the Bucs could end up being, and I'm going to say this because it's a crazy thought, but I'm going to say this. Is it possible they could be better next year? I mean, not just better with the guys that they have now, but I mean,
they're going to be better offensively than they were this year.
No, I know. I'm just meaning in addition to them being better by virtue of having played together for longer. I'm saying, are there going to be pieces that come in here that make them even better? Is there going to be a JJ Watt or whoever who just comes in as freaking depth,
a sub rusher or something? I definitely think it's going to happen. I mean, and as I reported today, Tom Brady is already starting to talk about restructuring and extending on their contract.
Yeah,
we've already heard the report. Mike Evans is going to leave some money on the table. I wouldn't be surprised to see Donovan Smith restructure and extend his deal, and some of these other guys give some money back to try to run this back. There's a few players that might not come back, like a Leonard Fournette, maybe Ndamukong Suh. There's a few guys, but I think you're going to keep that core of Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. I think those guys will all be back. And
I think Fournette even said he was willing, that he wanted to come back.
He said he wanted to run it back, but his market, I think, is going to be pretty big.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that he's going to get.
Okay.
Miami's going to throw some money at him, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
And especially with that playoff performance that he had. Wow,
playoff Lenny.
Yeah, he's
Super
for
Bowl
sure
Lenny now.
Super Bowl Lenny.
He's for sure going to show up, and I think someone will pay him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to re-sign with Tampa. Certainly wouldn't surprise me.
And Bruce Arians said yesterday after the wrap-up press conference that, they're already getting to work. Tomorrow, they're starting their exit interviews with all these players. They already re-signed a bunch of guys to future contracts, including Quentin Bell and Javon Hagan. And, it's back to work.
What do those exit interviews sound like? Well, what do you think we can do better next year?
No, it's like, okay, how much do you want? What are we doing,
Yeah.
But they're. Who knows? They may have already gone to start. Jason Light and Bruce Arians and co. were all at the Salty Shack down there today in Tampa, having a few victory drinks. I'm sure the only thing they weren't just talking whatever. I'm sure they're saying, okay, how can we run this back? How can
what
we
was
get
it?
This?
I heard somebody saying they can picture Brady after the game looking at the other players and saying, "Why are you laughing, crying? We haven't won 56 yet."
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy offseason for this team, and to see what they really do. I'm excited. I can't wait to get into it. Draft time, free agency is when I come alive. It's my favorite time of the year.
Me too. It's the best.
Other than and this is someone who's
Brian.
coming from New England.
I know. We'll get to it, Rick. Don't worry.
I watch Super Bowls, so I can't wait to see what they do, how they improve their team through the draft. Do they, if they can sign enough pieces, which is I love the reason why they have free agency before the draft. Do they maybe make a deal with and trade up and get one of these quarterbacks to sit behind Tom for a few years?
Trade down.
Do they maybe take a Kyle Trask? What are they going to do to improve this team? Because if you're looking at it, there's not many spots.
I wouldn't.
Golston's a free
agent.
That's
a very, very good point that I wanted to bring up too. Where do you look if Jason Light's sitting there and he's like, "Listen, I know Brady is lighting it up, and we just won a Super Bowl with him, and they don't get but Brady is telling them like, I don't know if I'm going to go past next year."
He already said he wants to extend past next year.
Do you draft a guy like Kyle Trask maybe and say, hey, well, we'll see.
It's going to be really
I don't know. I think that's one of those. It depends on how the draft falls. Listen, my honest belief, nothing would make me happier than to see them draft 7 linemen. From both sides of the ball, just nothing but linemen. You do that, and I'm happy as a clam. So
I think defensive linemen would be the target there, or maybe
get younger there. Get younger there for sure.
Free agency. I'm looking at James White. I think it's almost a near lock that James White comes down here with Tom Brady. They have a need for a pass catching back, especially if Leonard Fournette's not back. I think James White, you can almost pencil him in on this offense next year.
I think Edelman's coming.
Well, he's still in a contract, but if they release him.
Yeah, but he's with the stuff that he has said. They have to release him
too.
What?
Amendola wants to come down here too.
No, that's what I'm thinking of. That's right. Never mind.
You're just gonna rack up the old Patriots. That's what you guys are.
That's my point. It's like they're all saying, yeah, it wasn't Belichick. It was Brady the whole time. And it's like
they have the trust of Tom already.
Oh my God, what?
They have the trust of Tom already.
Right. It just, you look at that and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like, hey, Danny, would you like to come and be the number 6 wide receiver on this team?
Sure.
Yeah.
Guys, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run some ads. Do you guys both want to stick around, Joshua? I know you said
I gotta run.
Both gotta run.
Always a pleasure, guys. We're Super Bowl champions, and we're about to run it back. Let's go.
For sure, guys. All right.
Right. And I do want to say one thing real quick before you go. Can we just make one comment here or talk about one thing from Brian?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
All right. Tom Brady had Spygate when they were spying.
No, that's not even the one I'm talking about.
Oh, which one did you want?
Go below that.
Below that?
Yes. Where is it?
You pull it up if you find it.
Shoot. Yeah, right here. The Carolina Panthers want to get the first-round draft pick and Teddy Bridgewater to Detroit from Matt Stafford. Brian, he's already gone. He's already being traded to L.A. You're an idiot. Pick up a newspaper. Try to read it. Give it a shot. It might help. All right, I'm done.
Follow some online media stuff. All right.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, Josh, go ahead. Promote yourself. Tell us where we can find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Joshua_C_Allen. I have a couple breaking news things out there, including a story about Tom Brady. Look on Bucks Report because I've got a couple articles out, and you guys can find me later tonight little bit after 10 on the Sports Wheel with Peter Blake.
For sure, man. Josh, I appreciate you joining, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Always.
All right, see you. Rick, go ahead. Tell us where we can find you later on tonight, man.
Nope, it's not going to be later on tonight. Peter's going to be on. Yeah, Peter's going to be on later on tonight. So I am thrilled to say that I won't see you until Saturday night at 9:00 for What's Cooking in the South. Saturday night, right here on Bucks Report.
A well-deserved break for Rick Hughes.
Oh man, and I'm so happy about that. And then so Saturday night at 9 and Sunday night at 9, we will have some great shows lined up. I promise, because I'll be well rested and loaded for bear. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing you guys Saturday night and Sunday night at 9 p.m. on Bucks Report.
And starting next week, we're going to start our Super Bowl hangover will end next week.
I'm good. We can start now on my next show.
We'll start talking. All right, Rick, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Have a great one.
See ya. All right, guys. Yes, be sure to go check them out everywhere, Joshua and Rick. You could check out Rick. Dude, Rick deserves a break. He's been going at it since Saturday, for the last however long now, honestly. All right, let's bring up some of these comments for a sec. Let's go. I gotta go all the way up. You guys have been great with these comments so far. All right. Chiefs have always been soft. They just don't get punched in the mouth enough. Mahomes is the only all-time great player on that team. Hill and Kelce are not game changers in big games. I have to disagree with you there. I think that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are both amazing players, and they are game changers. I think we've said all season that they were a vulnerable team, that they could definitely be beaten, and it was just a matter of, how long it took before someone took advantage of them, and it took them missing their 2 tackles for the Bucks to get out there and start showing why they were the better team and why the Chiefs were vulnerable. Johnny says, who won the Super Bowl? That's right, Tampa Bay. Yes, Johnny. Our offense could have scored 2 to 3 more touchdowns if it was needed. Yeah, we already talked about that one. Frank says, hi, what's up, man? Leroy says, from the Saints game on, Bucks D won every game. Yep. I am impressed how the coaching kept getting better in the playoffs. They out-coached Andy the Walrus. Russell says, sometimes you wonder where the hell the ball went in some of these games, like Sunday. Evans 1 to 2 catches, Godwin 1 to 2, AB 1 to 2. Scotty Miller, I don't even think he had a target. I think Scotty Miller maybe had 1 or 2 targets. Like, that was crazy. Frank says, players want that ring. Yes, they do. Shout out to Marty Schottenheimer's family and friends and friends. Yes, absolutely. Rest in peace to Marty Schottenheimer, an all-time great coach. Veterans that played for a long time without a Super Bowl appearance want that ring. We saw it with LaShawn McCoy. We see it, we're going to see it a bunch. All these guys, J.J. Watt's going to be ring chasing now. I think that's why he might end up in Tampa for sure. There's a lot going on here. All right, guys, let's bring in a few guests here. First up, we got Deshaun from the 411. Deshaun, what is up, man? How are you? Oh, we can't get the audio. Oh, there we go.
Well, what's up? How are we doing today, guys?
We're doing well. We'll bring in. Actually, we'll talk to Deshaun for a little bit, because we'll talk to just Deshaun, because I want to definitely talk about. I think we talked enough Super Bowl. First off, let's get your thoughts on the Super Bowl, because I know you were hype about it on my Sunday show, and I haven't talked to you since, man. How are you feeling?
Listen, man, I think awesome game. We said it. I said it on Sunday early. Also, said it on Pete's show as well. Listen, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And I think I said it on your show. I know I said it right here on Bucks Report, that really what was going to be necessary to happen was that Mahomes was going to have to come out and literally play, perfect. Like, he was going to have to go off for that team to win. It just wasn't going to be enough. You did the numbers. I spoke about it. Listen, okay, Tyreek Hill, that's going to be 2 people. We're going to be, but when you say those 2 people over there, you got to account for the line. You say, hey, I have Vita in here. I thought we would play Vita a little bit more, but Todd Bowles kept him in for those 3rd and 4th downs, got him situated. You saw him come in on offense. I think just phenomenal. Team went out there. Great team win. A lot of, we used a lot of pieces. But listen, when you have, it's like if you were a kid and you're playing with Hot Wheels, or you gotta, let's not, that's old school kid. Let's go new school, right? You get Madden 21. When Madden 22 comes out, you ain't touching Madden 21 no more.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair, this year Madden 21 was atrocious. I do still play Madden 20 a little bit, but
for that reason, a couple of people play 20 a little bit. You know, my nephew was played 20 a little bit. I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, well, if I got to play somebody online, and that's just because of Madden 21. But generally, you get the gist. The gist is, hey, when you get the new toy, people don't go to the old one anymore. And a lot of people, listen, I watched the pundits. I only saw Bill Cowher and Michael Irvin pick Tampa. So the rest of the pundits, you know, listen, you know, I haven't watched wrestling in tons of years, but D-Generation X, they can go suck it. Because, listen, man, I'm telling you, great for us to come out, do what we need to do, just execute, and for a defense to just lock that team down. They didn't come out in a shootout, and then people could argue and say, oh, well, if they just did this or if they just did that. We don't control the refs, neither does KC. You know, when KC beat the 49ers, there was a whole bunch of calls that the 49er fans were saying the same thing. Listen, you got to win games, and don't let the referees be able to change that for you. And I'm going to tell you one of the biggest things in that game for me was that chucking up the deuce. Or I was like, dude, when you have football swag,
that was beautiful. Oh my God.
All season long, you see him throwing the deuces up on people, throwing them up, Sports Center, ESPN, all the channels, right? He's throwing it up, he's flipping. But dude, when it finally comes down to it and somebody chucks them up to you, I felt like he told the ref, he tapped the ref like, hey, you know, like pick that flag up. Like, you know, that's what I felt like, because it was one of those things where you knew what you were doing the whole time. Somebody did it to you with respect in the fact of you're a part of this. You know, I don't like people to, you know, don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. So if you're going to chuck the deuces, be prepared that when safeties come downhill, they're trying to take your head off because you're doing something very disrespectful after that. So when the safety got an opportunity to jump that pass, that was it. I mean, just absolutely great game in Tampa. And like you're saying tonight, nothing but a reason for players to want to come here. And the catch is, we don't know how many players are still going to be here. You saw the futures contracts for Tampa get signed today. And now we'll get into that offseason mode. Dude, if you got time, you know, tomorrow to come on my show, I want to talk about offseason. I want to talk about Jets offseason. I want to talk about just free agents moving around the NFL. We definitely got to get into that quarterback situation. I don't know if you got into it already tonight.
Let's do it. Let's do it a little bit now, man. We're going to go with the rest of the show about because it is the offseason. We're going to do the rest of the show all about this offseason, move around the NFL a little bit, because that is what this show is all about. So let's start off. We saw this week, I saw a report, I'm sure you saw it as well, about this Carson Wentz stuff. From what I'm hearing, the most likely scenario is that Carson Wentz will be traded to the Bears for a first-round pick, Nick Foles, and Tariq Cohen. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't think Wentz is going. I think the only other place Wentz would work is in Indianapolis. But what do you think about this Carson Wentz to the Bears stuff? Do you think it's going to go through, and do you think that's going to be a good fit for Carson?
So whether it's a fit, there's two sides I feel like they're looking at when they go with that, because they want to move on from Mitch, right? They're just like, yeah, not going to happen here. We don't like our current quarterback. Any team that says, I don't like my current quarterback, they always go to the numbers on the other quarterback. And then they go, well, do we feel like we have enough pieces here that could make that quarterback the best version of himself? Now, you give up Cohen in that, and I'm like, yeah, give up a run piece? I was like, that trade, the trade doesn't really I guess the numbers for the trade kind of balance out. You know how they do it. They always have the Wonderlic thought process, or the, I forget what's his name, but, that came up with how you should trade people. But Wentz right now in his career, this is a stop that he has to be great. His next stop, he has to be great. He cannot. I think if he's not great at his next stop, I think there's that huge drop off in his stock just overall. So for him, he has all the reason to play great. He's in a new system. He's in a new place. It's still cold. It's still cold. He's not escaping to the heat, and that's where I think could be an advantage for him. Because listen, I think that he's played in the cold weather way too long. The injuries mount up on him, and you can't win the club if you're in the tub, So as long as is he still going to be injured? Are they hedging? Are they going to hedge their bets with a young rookie behind him? As far as the trade goes, I think, listen, he wants to leave. It's clear they screwed the pooch in Philly. Bottom line.
I think next to Houston, that's the most dysfunctional organization in the NFL right now.
They're the second one to me. Absolutely. I think you're correct. It's Houston, then the Eagles. Behind that playoff fiasco BS that they did, hands down, they lost their locker room. And then when the coach get fired on top of that, the people underneath that, which are the players, they can only look up and say, hey, okay, he did what you told him to do, and look how you rewarded him. So
yeah, for sure. Here, Deshaun, I forgot to run ads, so I'm going to run ads really quick, and we'll come back here in just a minute.
Yep.
All right, talk soon. And we're back on the Hard Count Football Podcast Live, joined with Deshaun Tisdale of the 411. We were just talking a little bit about the NFL offseason, some of this quarterback movement, and I know it might seem a little biased, but I just want to talk a little bit about the Jets because, the Jets, so everything I'm hearing, according to Adam Schefter, Sam Darnold is going to go for a first-rounder if the Jets do decide to move off of him.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a Jets fan. Let me just break the train of thought just for a second.
Yeah.
You're a Jets fan. Do you feel, has Sam Darnold, in your eyes, done enough for you to stay the quarterback, or should the Jets be moving on from him?
So here's my thought process on this has changed a little bit because I thought, Darnold's going to go for a second and a fifth, and is that worth it? Is the option, if we don't get Deshaun Watson, is it going to be better? But now that you're looking at it and you're seeing a team like Washington, who's picking at 19, the Colts, who are going to be picking at 21. Like teams like that, I think that if Darnold goes for a first rounder, I can't see how you don't move off of him and just bring in a guy like Zach Wilson, who has a very similar skill set to Darnold and does a lot of the same things well. And you let a new coach develop, and you let him right into that Kyle Shanahan system offensively. And with this good defense now, with this better, I think, upgraded defense now with Robert Saleh as the coach. And I can't see. And then you bring in guys like, now we're hearing the Jets' top free agent priorities are Juju, which I don't agree with because he plays slot and he can't do anything outside the slot. And we have Crowder there already, and I think he's extremely effective. And then the other option is Will Fuller is the other one I'm hearing. And I really like the idea of bringing in Will Fuller because when he's healthy, he's a great receiver.
So my thing is, for Fuller and Juju, to me, you get Juju's going to bring that star power. There's a certain star power that there's reasons that people don't come to New York teams, whether it's the Knicks, not the Nets, because the Nets pull a lot of people right now. So, but it used to be the Knicks. It used to be, it would be the Jets and Giants, the Mets. There's certain reasons why, teams wouldn't, players wouldn't come, right? The Knicks are the main one to me. But when you start saying, okay, the weather, the media, Juju's going to eat that up. That's somewhere. See, like the media is a little bit different in Pittsburgh. Steel City media is a little bit different. He come to New York. He's on TikTok. He gets all these kids start following him, young people. He's working on life after the NFL. The new NFL player is not looking for 3-4 contracts in the NFL, if you will. They're trying to prepare themselves early and make the other money, right now. So I can see Juju kind of working a deal. He's still playing in the cold weather, so he's a receiver that is used to playing in the cold weather. No issue there. Right up the road, not a big deal. If he has any family, not too far to move, can always see him, whatever the case may be. So I could definitely see Juju to New York for that reason. Not saying he's the best fit. I understand you, but star power and how you have to play him. And then that goes back into the offense, how he's used. Because can you work with two true slot receivers? Of course you can. And how are you using them? Are you using them in certain tandems and things that are going to benefit the offense? Of course. So let's look what we're going to have. We're definitely going to have a stingy defense with Saleh. We're going to have a defense that blitzes. So they're either going to get home or they're going to get cooked. That either way, they won't be out there. Now they need an offense that can balance that. That means to me, not only do you need to run the ball to keep that defense off that's going to be aggressive, because there's going to be, there's bend but don't break, but that's not to me where Saleh is. When you first get there, you now have to get players that fit your system. So that's the issue for that first year, right? You have several pieces that are there, and I think players, especially Jets players, are going to be hyped to play for him because the mentality and what he brings is known around the league, hands down. They know who he is. When they first got the call, oh, he's going to be the coach, they picked up the phone, called up some guys that they know, and what did they hear? Oh, yo, he's a great coach. He's dope, man. You're going to love him. Da, 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 da. So now we look at where we at from a quarterback perspective, because we need somebody on the other side, not much different from Tampa when you had Jameis. You had a pretty good defense. You can never notice it when the offensive person that's touching the ball the most out of the offense is just screwing the pooch and putting the defense in bad situations. So I think that, do you feel you're better off with a rookie, or do you feel there's anyone out there? I mean, aside from Deshaun Watson, I feel like if you get a Watson.
Oh, it's over. If they actually make Deshaun Watson available, the Jets are I can promise you the Jets are going to get him. There's no other team that is going to be
harder for him.
There's no other team that's going to really have a good offer, right? There's no other team that's going to have a good enough offer that a more appealing offer than the Jets are going to have.
Because okay, let me ask you this: landing spots, because that's one of the things we're off season right now, so we can talk about it. I saw these coaching jobs go, and I was thinking to myself as I saw them, I'm still focused on Tampa still in it. I'm still worried about them, but I'm looking at these jobs saying how appealing are some of these locations and these jobs, and then what type of coach takes the job. So right now with what's on roster, how do you feel the Jets are appealing, like from a getting the veteran player like a Watson in, or anyone else, or just keeping the current quarterback? I mean, how appealing, because the offense has to change, and that's changing. Yeah. But if the offense doesn't match who you have, then you're like, well, let me go out and get, because, okay, Cam Newton's still out there. Is he enough? Do you bring him in?
Yeah, so I think that, you look at New York and the attractiveness of coming here right now, and a huge part of why a lot of people didn't want to come to the Jets and why the Jets have been so bad for the last however long is because of ownership and the general managers. And what ownership has done is now the coach reports to Joe Douglas, the general manager, who has done a great job as the GM so far, and then the GM reports to the owner. I think that that's huge in terms of structure and how that's going to work. Because now you have Joe Douglas and Saleh doing their own thing for this team and making all these roster decisions, while Woody Johnson is now just kind of overlooking it, but not really doing much.
Yeah, not having his hand in it. It's great.
Right.
They need to take a tip from the Jets organization in Dallas with that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You look in Dallas, and they're doing everything wrong at Dallas. But and with Saleh, people want to play for Saleh. We were talking about this. I think there's a lot of guys in the Niners that might come over here. One huge name I'm hearing is Jaquiski Tartt. One, I really like the idea of bringing in a guy like Jerick McKinnon to help out this run game. I like the idea of, and then the big one is a Richard Sherman, and the idea that he
likes to play for Saleh. That's somebody that he loves to play. Listen, there's certain players that he has. They like to play for certain coaches, and if the money, I don't think the money is an issue. You're going to pay him listen, even if you were paying veteran minimum, you're going to pay him that. There's a certain salary that he's going to get and require, but he's not at the point of breaking the bank at this point in his career. So you get him. He's a solid corner. He's going to play well. He's going to be smart. So you can always draft his replacement and get all that tutelage, And to me, Sherman is one of the smartest players that realizes how you need to approach the game to figure out, defensively I'm talking about, to figure out how referees are going to call the game. He plays so physical and so handsy and so sticky around the line that referees got to let you know right away whether they're going to throw that flag. And if they're not, he's all over the receivers, and the receivers dislike it so much, and they're looking for flags because they usually, dude, he does his homework. He knows which groups, because if you watch him, he knows what referee groupings they're going to have. How do these referees call? I mean, it's available for everybody, but some players just don't look into that.
Yeah, for sure. And Deshaun, we're going to talk about this a lot more. I'm absolutely going to come on your show soon because we'll have a much more in-depth conversation about this. I got to wrap this thing up. So why don't you go ahead, promote yourself, tell us where we can find you, man.
Hey, this is Deshaun from Deshaun's 411 right here on Bucks Report. Over 70,000 following. Catch me on Deshaun's 411, 7 p.m. Thursdays. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. It's the off season. Let's go. Go Bucks. Congratulations on Super Bowl win. But check me out Thursday.
Absolutely, man. All right, I'll talk soon.
All right, now.
All right, see ya. Yes. And with that, we're going to wrap today from the Hard Count Football Podcast Live. My name is Jacob Charno, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining me tonight. Be sure to go check out every single person that joined tonight, Rick, Deshaun, and Joshua Cole Allen. Be sure to go follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charno, Instagram at Hard Count Football, and now on TikTok at Hard Count Football as well. As always, remember to check out the Hard Count Football Podcast live every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Bucks Report and on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel. Be sure to check out other videos from Hard Count Football and subscribe.